To be is our purpose. All of everything is nothing but a gift, all magically intertwined and divine. It says biblically that there's nothing new under the sun, and I don't believe there is. There's different variations of things, and maybe new to some people or new to you when it comes up to you, but it's not new. So, for instance, before anybody knew about the internet, was that something that somebody made, or was it something that somebody discovered? And when you discover it, does that make it all of a sudden that's the first time it was a truth, or was it something that you found? So like the new land, like when they said that they came to look for America and they called it a new land, like Christopher Columbus discovering the country that millions of people already lived on for thousands of years. You didn't discover it. It's a new discovery to you. So all things are already done. All things are. So to be, I believe, is the purpose. When they say, biblically, they asked, when God got asked, I don't know who it was, Moses or something, said, who should I say sent me? And he says, I am the I am. Well, who is I am? Well, I am. So what is the M part? I believe is being. So I being. Well, what is being? This moment is being. Right now is being. The past is inaccessible to change under what I can sense, and also the future. I don't live in the past and I don't live in the future. I live right at the very moment. And that's where I live, and that's where I operate from. So just being is the purpose, and in meditation you silence the mind of all the voices from outside and in as much as possible. And that's what I think people get. That's why people feel benefit from it, because they realize that just being is the gift, is the magic, is the pleasure, is the peace. If when I look at myself and I think that I'm something separate than the surroundings that I'm living in, and I'm something separate, this is some kind of separatism belief. And I believe that causes much suffering, compared to the belief of oneness. Everything being one, single happening. So if I am everything, meaning absolutely everything, when I look into any point in any direction, and I believe, where's the limit to that? Where's the end? How far does it go? I figure, with or without looking biblically or spiritually or anything, you can just look physically, it still seems like infinity. If you look in mathematics, you get to the largest number you can get to, add a 1. And when you get to that number, add a 1. And like the Fibonacci sequence, it can go infinitely small, infinitely big, like a fractal design with no limits. So if true infinity exists, I don't believe that there could be two infinities, because those two infinities would end up meshing into one. Now, if I'm not just solely what's inside of the skin, and I'm also what's outside of it, my body, when they say, inside my body, outside my body, why take only claim of what's inside the body and not outside the body. This doesn't make sense to me. I think that you should take, if you have an identity at all, then you would want to identify with yourselves inside the body and outside the body, which I believe is infinity. Well, these start to represent, I believe, what was taught in the Bible of what God is. God is infinity, before and after. Before there is no time. There's an unlimited backwards and forward. There is no end. He's omnipresent. He says. He also says he comes to live inside of you. So how could that be? Unless my perception of this is true, that wow, this is what we are. We are divine. Not to say that I'm solely God or the sole decider on how either the inside or the outside of this is going to conduct itself, or the outcomes, or any of these things. It would be like hairs on the head. If that one hair is looking that way, doesn't mean all the hairs are. It's just the one. So I play a small role. It takes many hairs to make the whole head of hair. So just like the ocean. If you bring a drop of water to somebody and say, here's the ocean, they look at it and that's not the ocean. I don't see whales in there. I don't see waves or any of that. But there would be no ocean without each individual drop. So I don't know. That's the extent of the physical body in this world. I don't know what the limits of the spirituality of it is, and even if there is, what is there to, where to go inside of that infinity, where to call home inside of it, where to strive to get to next. All seems to be right here in this moment. Because this is what exists. There is no home outside of the moment of right now. So this is home. This is where I am. Now there's a certain amount of peace that comes about when that happens. And gratitude and love and all of these things that arises, and only once do I give my mind a new thought to think of oh, what if I'm wrong, or not even what if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Puts me in such a place of wonder that all possibilities are true, but they are. So this moment is the very worst moment of all my being. Whoever be is this moment, as well as the most best thing that will ever happen to me, is right here in this moment. And it's a funny truth, because you can say, well, wouldn't it be better to have this be going on in my moment, or that going on, or wouldn't it be worse if this was happening in your moment, and this other thing? And that seems to be like the background. I've seen still pictures of somebody, they take a picture every single day, but the background changes, and when you click play, and all you see is the person in the video staying the same, and all the background changing. There is that happening, and that's what I feel like is a part of our being, and what makes us lose track of what truth is we get sidetracked, and we go down these thoughts, not just mentally but physically, and so we can tack onto good and bad, and value and unvaluable, and all of that as we go. But that the pinnacle of truth is, though, you can come back to truth and come back to the now and hold and feel it all, you know. I don't understand exactly what it is to be living and why it is the way it is, but I believe that it's okay because I didn't put myself here that I remember. I didn't do all of this that I remember. Um, but like if I look into like something like the thought of death and the individual body dying as a truth and an inevitability, well then, under my estimates, that's what's happened. It's so. That is so. So if that's so, and this moment is so, then what? I must trust in this process. I choose to trust in that process because this is just an incredible, fantastic um, experience that I couldn't make possible. It's happening possible because of other influences outside of myself. Um, that's how it's possible. And and whatever that is has decided that death is a part of the process. And so to take that and try to change that or whatever seems kind of frivolous or in vain, I guess. But also, I also see the world and what motivates it, and I believe we probably might be able to get to a position that we come to full uh, fruition of what we are, which is infinite beings. I don't know why, if we're infinite beings, we can't be infinite beings right here with our consciousness and in their bodies. Um, but like like a caterpillar becoming a butterfly. What if it asked that? Why do I have to become a butterfly? I want to be a worm, a caterpillar, and it's just not. That's not the way the design is. So I also have some thoughts about what good is it to side on the side of love versus the side of hate, um, or to strive for holiness versus evil, or these things. Uh, what good is that? And the only thing that I can think, because both of them are true and both of them are us, are equally as evil and equally as holy. These are our identities to the furthest extent of both ideas. So I'm thinking that it would probably give us a foundation to reach all of our potential and to realize our potential to do exactly what it says biblically, that Jesus said he came and he died for sins. The wages of sin is death, and he wanted to show the truth and the life and the way, and life to the fullest. Well, what is life to the fullest? The fullest. This is ultimate life, no death. So it would give us the platform not to die, I would believe. Um, and then you look at the other things, that the sin aspect, and they go through greed and all these different things, and what does that bring? And that brings the death. So I don't know if the plan is to be forever. I mean, if we're already if it's already done and over with, then what's the point? Um, it's like the whole thing when they say Jesus died for our sins, all the sins except for the ones that we refuse, that we hold on to. No, it's all the sins. If we do that, it's just ridiculous. And these are just some of the thoughts I've been having about all of it. And none of it matters on where I side. All of it's just opinion and thoughts and scrambled of it and all of that. Because at the end of the day, if I just be quiet, this is what's so. Uh, if I believe, um, you know, in evil and I do evil things, well, guess what? There's people here doing that. Killing people with their own hands. And then if I think that I should be holy and serve the world around me and love it, well, there's people out there doing that. And this is the moment we have. So it doesn't seem to be such a major impact. And my dad taught me, the story about the starfish, a bunch of starfish washed up onto the shore, thousands of them, hundreds of thousands. Walk down to the shore and see this person throwing starfish back into the ocean. And says, well, what are you doing? Says, I'm saving these starfish. There's no way you could save all these starfish. Why, this is in vain. Well, it mattered to that one. When we threw it in, grabbed another one, threw it in, it mattered to that one. So I would like to affect the world in such a way that I show love versus hate. And I would like to strive to be more holy versus evil, and do that. Don't just simply look at the problem and not try to make any change. And yeah, maybe I can't get all the starfish off into the ocean, but I hope I can get some in there. And doing this podcast is and starting it up, I have no idea how to do that or what, if it can do that or any of that. I'm just guessing and stabbing in the dark on it all. But one of the ways I think that I could be able to do it is by being 100% honest. And I think that that's the route for me to go, is just to be honest, show all the good, show all the bad, and be vulnerable that way. Just be the most honest person I can be. People seem to value it. I value it more than an act or a gimmick that, although successful, I don't respect versus the honesty of somebody. So that's going to be my job, is just to be as honest as I possibly can to myself and to the viewers, and see what that can do for us. When the last relationship that I was in, I loved that person with such an intensity that my love that I had for the world around me started to narrow and narrow and narrow until it was just the one person that I was loving. And once that person decided not to be in that type of relationship with me that I thought was occurring, that kind of snapped shut, and there was no more love for anybody or myself or anything, and started spiraling down into a complete I don't care anymore. There was no more hope, and there was no more care to even hope. There was no more care. There was nothing. And I think that people get to that place sometimes and make decisions based off of that either look for revenge and hurt somebody. You know, they say, they try to spread it out. I'm hurt, so they try to make you hurt or whatever. And that's not what I'm about. And some other people, they commit suicide. They just jump out of it. You know what? I'm going to end this. And they kill themselves. And I didn't decide on that. And the only reason why not, I think I got into the headspace of what that is, what it means to get to that headspace to want to do something like that. And I figured, if we're going to die anyway, then why bring it so quickly? That kind of end, the end of all of the sadness and pain and all that is coming. It's coming for everybody. So I never chose that as an option. I figured I'll just ride it out. Ride this whole experience out and see what happens. So I heard somebody talk about, in a relationship, if it ends, to think back how you were before the relationship was and try to get back to that. So before that relationship, I was in a whole different spot in my personal life, as far as I had a decent job. I was cooking and making decent money for a single man. I got my own apartment. I bought a dog. I brought some friends to come live with me. Bought a motorcycle, and basically was full with the social, egotistic spirit. I mean, like, I walked around and I thought I was the shit. And I probably was. I don't know. I probably am still. I don't know. Maybe I was never the shit. Maybe I'm still not. I don't know. I really can't gauge on any of that anymore. It just, I was and I am. And those are the truths. Those other things that I gauged my worth and and what the world around me I felt was judging my worth on was just materialistic and economic and social cues. And but it wasn't me. I wasn't my motorcycle. I wasn't my job. I wasn't any of these things. But it made up what my thought of myself was and what the thought of others might have been of me. And so I look back at that time, and I had a certain love for everybody. And so I wanted to get back to that. How can I love everybody? I'm talking about every last person on this planet and in all of existence. How can I love that? How can I love this? And I listened to a lot of podcasts while I was cooking. And I was like, well, when you record something and put it onto the internet, well, then you potentially can reach every last living person, not just in this time, but in all of time potentially, especially going forward, So I was like, all right, well, there's the medium, there's the platform, that's the way to love, is to show, to express your love to the internet. That way it can be picked up by anybody, and words can hit them and potentially give them hope, give them love, give them certain insights that they might not have had in their own experience. And just like, if you're a math major and all you do is math for, like, I don't know, 10 years straight, well, while you were busy doing that, you weren't in political science, you weren't studying how to be a better skateboarder, you weren't studying music or these things, you were doing that study. So it doesn't matter what it is. We all kind of have our specialties. So it also fulfills, me getting guests on here or anything like that. It's not just me alone who can share my love or my teaching or anything like that. But while I was busy being the being this part of the experience. Um, Other people were doing their experience, so I would like to uh, share not just only mine, but other people's experiences. And I was like, wow, this is a real opportunity to open that up and come all the way 360. The love can spread, and it's such a task, because when we get in front of a video camera like this, and uh, different people to different degrees are willing to be open and honest, and I figured I'll just be honest as can be. But with that said, that can still feel like I was hesitating, still am, in certain aspects. And so there's a fun part to this, a little like a playful challenge of how well open can I be? How open and honest can I possibly be? And uh, there's a vulnerability to it, because there's certainly judgment. You're judging right at the very moment while I'm speaking. Um, if there's value in what I'm saying, or if there's value in this project, or if it's just in vain, and any of these things. Who knows what the judgments are? Um, but when you put yourself up against that, you feel like you might be able to want to make certain moves, or whatever to accommodate. And I don't believe that's as genuine as just opening up. So I'm gonna try to uh, be as open as I possibly can and explain my truths as I see it. And I'm not certain with anything that I believe. If I had to just put a final message of what I believe is truth, I would just be quiet, or just simply say, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know anything really. I don't know, like, no, I don't, like, with a solid knowingness. I don't know. I don't know exactly anything. There's not one thing that I know. I have my beliefs, I have my suspicions, I have my impulses, I have my feelings. Those are the things, senses. I have those things. I have those, but I don't have knowing, nor do I believe anybody else does. This is why people even would reach outside of themselves to thirst for knowledge and stuff like that. It's not because you know the thing, it's because you're still looking and trying to adjust and make judgments and such like this. So I'm hoping that everybody on this platform and on this journey with me on the GNOWCAST, we can get somewhere, somewhere nice, and have more peace, have more hope, have more love. And I have not a clue how in the hell that can happen, or even if it can, but it seems like a well worth journey to go down to attempting, because I don't feel like I have anything else to lose. I don't have anything to lose, so that isn't going to be lost anyway. So I hope you can, come down the journey and watch the episodes and participate and interact and see what happens with it. At the end of the day, if you say what's the main goal of it, it's those things. I would like to see more of that. We all do, It's like the beauty pageant. What do you want? World peace, It's what the heck we want, And I can't get it all done in one episode like this, and the next episode will be completely different than this one, and the next episode after that will be completely different than this one. But one of the things I've realized when talking with people is just because you get done with the conversation with the person doesn't mean the conversation is over. It's just a pause in between the conversation, and then you pick up when the next time you see them and you talk to them, whether it be 10 years later down the line. It's the 10-year pause, and you're back in the conversation. It's one conversation. So this mission and this conversation that I'm going to have with myself, with you, and with others is one, just like everything else. There's different segments of the conversation, and so I would hope not to be completely dismissed immediately. I would hope that we can stay interested enough to see if there is something here that can do that, to find these to resolve some of these things of confusion and outright mistreatment of ourselves and our surroundings, because that's what I see in the world. Everybody else sees it also, and we don't fix it with the way that we've been acting, with these things of ideas of greed and self-preservation and such, wars and these things. That's not the way we're gonna get to a place of health, peace, and unity. We're not gonna get it that way, and that's the way we've been trying it our whole existence. And not everybody, but a lot of people know that's not the way. But when you start to pull back and decide that you're not going to be that, as a to fight your enemy. All right, I'm done fighting to win, and then just to get beat down or even killed. I don't know how that feels like winning sometimes, and I think a lot of people feel that way, and so they keep fighting because they feel like it's the only way, and it's not. Maybe the individual aspect of what you feel yourself to be, like the individual person will go through that. They call it like a martyr or whatever. That's very much so, but to the bigger picture of who we are as oneness, those truths, like Che Guevara said, you're going to kill me on the day that he got killed, executed. He said, you're going to kill me, but you're not going to kill what I'm about. So, or Gandhi going into his fasting, there's a certain amount of selflessness that has to be involved, I think, when you decide to be a pacifist fighter of these things. It's very interesting that it's that way, but it's like the saying of, if you want to change the world, you have to change yourself. That's it, man. Like if we all decided to not kill anybody, then nobody would be killing. If we all decided that, and that would rid the killing. So right now we're practicing let's kill the killers. Well, then we become killers to kill the killers. It's not the route. And these are just that's just a few examples of what I'm trying to speak about. Like, it seems like the way that we think that we have to be to the world, or what the world's calling us to be, is the way we have to be, and that's just not true with me. And although, yeah, in these current conditions, that move to do that might might seem like it's affecting you individually in a negative aspect, but I don't believe so. I think that maybe, I mean, I mean, that's the sacrifice, a lot of this, there's truth in everything. So like in biblically, it talks about that, giving your life for your brother would be like the most loving thing you can possibly do. And then, you look at the example of Christ dying on the cross, and they talk about, that's the sacrifice he made. There's something about sacrifice that pays you right back. I did a fast once, and the sacrifice of not eating paid me right back. When we sacrifice, when we give, when we serve, there's something to it. So I hope, we can become a little more courageous in what we know is right and truth, even though if it's not going to pay us out in the physical experience immediately. And it seems to be the only way to conduct ourselves to get to wherever it is that we're going. So, and maybe it's going that way anyway, with or without us. But it just seems to be like that's what makes it important to be to follow a bigger will than our own, a purer will than our own. I kind of feel like whenever I'm doing videos like this, at least in the beginning like this, that it feels like I might not even be doing anything, at all, or like chasing my tail or something like that. And maybe that's so. When I look back at these videos and I watch them, I just see a man has opinions. This is your opinions. I don't. That's why I wanted to say earlier, I don't know anything. So, but these are my opinions, and they also change, like everything else. But I don't know.